Hey guys, welcome back to our video, and today we're going to react. I created the strongest character in Jujutsu Kaisen history, stronger than Gojo and Sukuna, made by Shinobi Aniki. So let's react to it.
Today, I'm creating the strongest character that ever lived in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. If you think Sukuna and Gojo are strong, well, you better reconsider, because the character I'm about to create does not even compare with those.
Okay bro, can someone just tell me, why does it have Maharaga, literally had Maharaga's like backstab, Gojo's domain expansion and Sukuna's domain expansion? Like bro, how can you have two domain expansions? And I think this sword of, I don't know what, I think it's Maharaga's sword.
This character will not only be stronger than any character in the history of Jujutsu Kaisen, he will literally not even face any trouble stepping on both Gojo and Sukuna, even if they were to team up against him. We'll be going through each trait, and we'll pick only the best of the best in each category. But before we begin, just to make this a bit more difficult, a small rule. You see, normally here we would say that we can only use a trait from the character just once. However, for this video, I'm gonna modify that rule a bit. We can use a character up to 2 times each. The reason for that? Well, Sukuna and Gojo are way too strong, and I really wanted to use them more than once on my character. So, for example, if we choose to go for Gojo's speed and Gojo's domain expansion, Unlimited Void, then we will not be able to choose Gojo again for another trait like his strength, cursed energy, or intelligence. Okay, so let's start with the very basic now, shall we? What race will our character be? There are 4 options we can choose from: human, cursed object, cursed spirit, Shikigami. So, which one should we go for? Obviously, the answer to that is cursed spirit. They live longer than humans. They have a better grasp and understanding of cursed energy, they possess immense levels of cursed energy, and they can regenerate through reverse curse technique much more easily compared to humans. After all,
Okay bro, this kind of a smart move.
remember what Sukuna said during his fight with the Finger Bearer curse? Quote, "Unlike humans, regenerating injuries is not something special for curses." So let's just choose any cursed spirit for that, and we'll go with Mahito. Now, this was only the first point, and we still have another 12 traits left to analyze. And for the 13th trait, we save for last. Well, all I'm gonna say is that it changes everything, as that will be what actually made Sukuna the king of curses. But what do I mean by that? Well, you'll see in a little bit. For now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep going. So let's move on.
Guys, also subscribe to the channel and also like if you want to see more reactions.
We chose his race, but how about the more technical aspects of his character? Let's give our character the cursed energy reserves of someone. For this trait, the first candidate is Jogo. Then, as seen during his fights, he can unleash powerful attacks that obviously require huge cursed energy reserves. He can use all kinds of insane moves: domain expansion, reverse curse technique, and so on and so forth. After all, Jogo is one of the most powerful curses in the series. Having said that, even Jogo obviously does not even come close to the levels of Gojo Satoru. You see, Satoru Gojo is known within the Jujutsu Society as the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in the world. He earned this alias partially due to the immense amounts of cursed energy he possesses. His cursed energy is vast enough to use a domain expansion at least 5 times in one day, while most sorcerers can only use it once. However, this feat is also partially possible due to the 6 eyes that allows Gojo to expend minimum cursed energy while fighting. For example, our third candidate has even more energy than Gojo, but cannot really use domain expansion as many times as his teacher. This is none other than Yuta Okotsu. Yuta's immense cursed
Yeah bro, I know it's character.
energy comes from his genetic relation to Michizane Sugawara. It only first manifested when he transformed a loved one into a cursed spirit. Rika became a vengeful spirit so powerful that Geto, an avid collector of curses, dubbed her as, quote, the Queen of Curses. Rika's boundless cursed energy could be shaped into any technique, allowing Yuta to use advanced curse techniques within a year of learning the fundamentals of Jujutsu. Yuta retains the massive amounts of cursed energy that were unraveled from Rika's curse even after her spirit passed on. His cursed energy capacity exceeds even that of Satoru Gojo. Yuji and Choso would immediately feel that Yuta's volume of cursed energy was comparable with Gojo, with the former claiming it was more creepy and ominous. Ryo Ishigori, the culling game player with the highest cursed energy output as of then, felt Yuta's cursed energy was, quote, nearly bottomless. But even like that, there is one character we know with even bigger cursed energy reserves: Sukuna. Hear me out. Sukuna possesses vast levels of cursed energy due to his innate power, cementing his title as the king of curses. He was able to continuously use his techniques throughout his battles without exhausting himself in the slightest. His reserves of cursed energy likely is the most
Wishing there was something left to lose. This could be the
transcendent throughout history, far surpassing special grade cursed spirits and sorcerers alike. Even Yuta Okotsu, that, as we stated, had a nearly bottomless supply of cursed energy, stated that Sukuna has double the amount of cursed energy that he has or more. Normally, our choice here should have been Sukuna. However, there are a bunch more traits I want to use him for, and since I can only use him twice, I'll be taking Yuta Okotsu's cursed energy reserves, which, truth be told, are also massive. And now, before you come at me, we're not considering Hakari for this round, since his unlimited cursed energy is only applicable during domain expansion, and only if he hits the jackpot. Since we've got a separate spot for domain expansion, we're only considering the cursed energy of characters while in base form. We're off to a great start, and for the third trait, let's just give our character the reverse curse technique capabilities of someone. Here's where things get a bit tricky, and why is that? Well, hear me out. The first candidate we can consider is Hakari, that while hitting the jackpot in domain expansion, his reverse curse technique becomes fully automatic, and quite honestly, pretty insane. However, just like the previous point, this is more of a trait of his domain expansion rather than a feat of base form reverse curse technique. The second candidate is Yuta Okotsu, where he can not only use reverse curse technique to heal himself, but also heal others, something even more rare than the ability to use reverse curse technique to begin with. The next candidate is Gojo Satoru, where during his fight with Sukuna, he was seen using this ability multiple times, even growing his arm back in an instant. Similar capabilities for reverse curse technique were shown by Sukuna as well. But once again, since I'll be using both Gojo and Sukuna twice later on in the video, we're just gonna have to discard those two for this trait. That leaves us with the two candidates I actually believe are the main candidates. The first is Jogo, that again is one of the strongest curses in the show. He was able to literally heal his freaking head when Sukuna slashed it, something that would normally kill even the most proficient human users of reverse curse technique. Also, when Gojo fought and completely destroyed him, nothing was left of him besides his head. And even like that, Jogo survived and later on made a full recovery. However, again, this is where it gets tricky. Jogo is a prime candidate of reverse curse technique when it comes to curses, but when it comes to humans, Shoko was said to be the best reverse curse technique user, among humans that is. So if we are to assume that our character is a curse, as we said in the first point, then normally our character will have a heightened ability to heal himself through reverse curse technique. Think of it this way. How strong Shoko's reverse curse technique would be if she were to become a curse? Now we have to compare this with Jogo and decide which one to choose for this ability. I'll be honest, I lean more towards Shoko, where literally her entire life she's only been using reverse curse technique to heal others. After all, this is her role in Jujutsu High. Having said that, this point is pretty debatable, so let us know what you think in the comments down below. Should we have taken Jogo or Shoko for this point? Well, no matter what, hold on, because we're just getting started. Being such a strong sorcerer, naturally we have to give our character a curse technique. Here, we should obviously go for Itadori, right? Nah, seriously, Itadori's not even considered. My guy is the main character, and we still wait for him to display a technique other than left, right, good night. Okay, so here there are plenty of incredibly strong curse techniques to choose from. The actual first candidate we are considering is Uraume, where her innate ability allows the user to create and manipulate ice. It can range from small to large quantities depending on the desired utilization. Even though this does not sound all that special, believe me, in the hands of the right user, this can be incredibly lethal. Next, we have Yuki Tsukumo and her innate technique that allows her to grant virtual mass to herself and—
Wait a sec. Doesn't her surname literally sounds like last name literally sounds like what? Yeah, like Naruto, one of the techniques that Obito was gonna use to put the world into eternal sleep. Bro, I need to say, bro, these are so relatable.
her Shikigami, Garuda. The mass added to Yuki and Garuda's attacks give them—
Wait, Garuda is like a Hindu mythology crow. Or not a crow, eagle actually.
devastating destructive force, capable of effortlessly exercising a special grade curse. During her fight with Kenjaku, Yuki used her innate technique to transform into a black hole with the potential to destroy the world itself. The only reason this did not happen was because Yuki suppressed its power in order to prevent a catastrophe. From the teacher to the student, Aoi Todo. His innate technique that goes by the name Boogie Woogie allows him to switch the positions of anything with cursed energy within his range with a clap of his hands. He can change himself out of the location of another person or switch to different parties other than himself as well. Though a clap is required to trigger the ability, he does not have to clap both of his hands specifically, as Todo was shown triggering Boogie Woogie by clapping Mahito's hand with his own. But wait, we still have another 6 candidates, one of which is, of course, Shoso and his innate ability of blood manipulation. The combo ancestor controlled by Kenjaku mixed his blood with the human and cursed spirit that resulted in the death painting wounds. This allowed Shoso to inherit blood manipulation and train it to its fullest extent. Shoso is a master, constantly using this technique to manipulate his own blood blood, and utilizes it in nearly every facet of his combat arsenal. This ability is so strong that it made the Kamo clan one of the 3 great families in Jujutsu Kaisen. Next is Geto Suguru and his cursed spirit manipulation, where the user can control an abundance of cursed spirits. Dominated curses are absorbed into small black orbs that Suguru must ingest orally in order to use. If the difference in grade is more than 2 levels, Suguru can absorb a curse with no consequences. He's also able to absorb other sorcerers' curses as long as he kills the master first. All I will say is that Kenjaku did not randomly possess the body of Geto. This ability is as overpowered as it gets. Next in line, we have Megami and his 10 Shadows technique, a technique passed down in the Zenin family, allowing the user to summon up to 10 potential Shikigami using his shadows as an intermediary. It also grants the user overall manipulation of shadows, allowing Megami to hide in shadows or store objects within his own shadow. The strongest summoning is, of course, Maharaga. For the time being, I'm gonna discard Megami. Yeah, I know, you're just gonna have to trust me on this. You'll see in a bit why I did that. So, on to Yuta Okotsu and his ability to copy techniques while being connected to Rika. However, I'm gonna discard Yuta as well, because, once again, you're gonna see why in a little bit. The next incredibly overpowered ability is, of course, Angels, also known as Hana. The Angels curse technique allows for the extinguishment or nullification of any and all cursed techniques. Barriers and cursed objects alike are no exception, including special grade tools like the Prison Realm. While the Angels technique has a small chance of reverting incarnations to a pre-incarnation state, it is far more likely that a given vessel will perish as a result. We saw Angel absolutely cooking Sukuna with this ability, and yeah, even though Sukuna's maximum output was blocked since he had just acquired Megami's body, this skill is still mad impressive. But even though Angel's ability is unimaginably strong, we all know which ability we should be taking, right? This is none other than Gojo's combination of 6 Eyes and the Limitless. At the base level, Limitless is an innate technique which is derived from the Gojo family. This technique grants its user nigh absolute control over space through cursed energy manipulation at an atomic level, resulting in multiple subsequent results and techniques within the overall ability. Combined with the 6 Eyes, Gojo becomes as strong as it gets. Having given our character a curse technique, let's give our character a domain expansion next as well. Here, I should point out that normally a curse technique and the corresponding domain expansion typically go together. However, for the purposes of this video, and to make it even more interesting, let's assume we can choose any domain expansion we want, unrelated to what curse technique we chose a few moments ago. Even though there are plenty of incredibly overpowered domain expansions to choose from, we will only present the 4 strongest ones. The first of which is Higuruma's domain expansion, Deadly Sentencing. This domain expansion manifests a small courtroom domain surrounded by guillotines, where he and his opponent are placed on podiums standing across from one another. This domain does not use a guaranteed hit. Instead, anyone inside is simply forced to follow its rules. Violence is not permitted in the domain, and anyone who tries to engage will be returned to their podium. Inside the courtroom, Judgeman floats behind the caster of the domain, who acts as the prosecution. Hiromi's opponent is the defendant, and the Judgeman knows everything about everyone inside the domain. Hiromi does not receive any information from Judgeman, just evidence that Shikigami submits for deliberation. The evidence is not conclusive, and the defendant is not told what's inside. While inside the domain, the defendant is put on trial by the Judgeman, and the verdict depends solely on the arguments they make with Hiromi. The defendant's goal is to dispel all doubt and earn a pronouncement of innocence from Judgeman. Both the defendant and the prosecution have just one chance to make a statement before Judgeman delivers a verdict. The defendant has 3 options: silence, confession, and denial, after which Hiromi has a chance to offer his rebuttal based on the evidence he was given. All of these rules must be explained as per a binding vow on the domain. A guilty verdict can result in Judgeman confiscating their ability to control cursed energy. However, as stated by Higuruma himself, the crime which the Judgeman will choose to put the defendant on trial for is random. So in the end, even if the opponent is trapped inside this domain, they may be trialed for something trivial, and thus the result not be deadly. Not only that, but as displayed with Sukuna's case, the judgment might be passed on to a cursed tool instead of the culprit himself. The second domain expansion worth mentioning is Hakari's domain expansion, Idle Death Gamble. If the user manages to hit the jackpot, then for the next 4 minutes and 11 seconds, the user enjoys an unlimited supply of cursed energy, making it possible for the user to even have a fully automatic reverse curse technique always active. But since this is a gamble, let's just go for another ability instead. Here, we could go for Sukuna's domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. However, I want to use Sukuna for another 2 traits next, and because of that, we'll be going for the obvious one, Gojo's Unlimited Void. Instead, this domain bombards the user with an infinite amount of information to the point that the user sustains sustain severe brain damage. It's considered among the strongest, if not the strongest domain expansion in Jujutsu Kaisen. For the 6th trait of today's video, let's give our character the superhuman strength of someone. Normally here, the first candidate would have been Mahoraga. However, since it's not a separate character per se, as he's more of a summoning and a part of Megami's ability, let's just go for an actual character instead. The first option is Itadori Yuji, that displayed insane feats of physical strength throughout the series. However, the one we'll be choosing is none other than Toji Zenny. Toji possesses a superhuman degree of physical strength, enough so to effortlessly yank Playful Cloud from Maki's hands. Another person with great physical gifts. Using Playful Cloud, a tool that depends on physical strength, Toji was able to easily smash through Dagon's hardest Shikigami. With another curse tool, he was able to cut through Sugaru's toughest curse, and use his bare hands to defeat Takuma Ino's face so badly he almost died. Oh, and all of that without a trace of cursed energy. Straight up throwing hands in a world dominated by cursed energy. We covered strength, so how about speed next? Here we have 5 candidates. The first is Naobito Zenny, where, as we saw, his speed was something else. However, as we saw, not even he was anything special when faced in front of Jogo. That absolutely destroyed him without even breaking a sweat. Some could argue that Naobito was exhausted at this point. However, I do believe that Jogo's speed was still on another level. As a result, for the time being, we have Jogo for speed. But hold on, because we still have the best candidates ahead. The next 2 candidates are both Toji and Maki. Both are around the same level of speed, which is said to be supersonic, as displayed when Maki was able to move faster than even Noya's cursed spirit. If we had to say which one was faster, even though debatable, then maybe we could argue that Toji is still a little bit faster than Maki. So, who should we choose? Toji or Jogo? Honestly, none of this matters. And why is that? Because the next character is even faster than all the ones we mentioned so far. We'll leave Sukuna and
Roblox is way more fun when you have Robux. But Robux cost money, and that's
Gojo out for this round, since Gojo's already been used twice already, and Sukuna's still going to be used later in the video. So the character we choose is Kashimo. The only reason Sukuna was able to dodge Kashimo's attack was because Sukuna was able to predict Kashimo's attack, and thus dodge in time. Kashimo's main trait is his unhuman speed that allows him to dominate opponents even while in base form. For the 8th trait of this video, let's give our character the durability of someone. Okay, here, once again, we're not considering Mahoraga for similar reasons we did not in previous rounds. So our choice, Yuji Itadori. Yuji's durability surpasses the average sorcerer. He was able to continuously take hits from Chozo during their fight, and even piercing blood. An attack moving at the speed of sound didn't even pierce Yuji immediately. He was also able to withstand numerous attacks from Mahito in his instant spirit body of distorted killing form and continue fighting. After Sukuna took control over Megami's body, he punched Yuji through multiple buildings. And Yuji? Oh well, he just got up and continued the fight. Even after Sukuna relentlessly kept attacking him with Dismantle, Yuji just stood there unfazed. Yuji is the only right choice for durability. Having covered the physical traits, let's move on to the intelligence next. The first candidate is Aoi Todo, that as himself states has an IQ of exactly 530,000.
It's over 9,000!
But at the end of the day, I'm not even sure if that's physically possible. So yeah, let's just press the doubt button on that one. The actual first candidate here would be Gojo. I mean, anyone that understands just how complicated his curse technique is, they also understand just how big of a genius Gojo is. We're talking about advanced mathematical equations and calculations, nuclear freaking science, and all of that. He does it on the top of his head while fighting. However, we already used Gojo twice, so instead, we'll use Kenjaku. This guy's been planning and plotting every move for like hundreds, if not thousands of years in advance. And because of that, he's arguably one of the smartest, if not the smartest character in Jujutsu Kaisen. Having said that, intelligence would mean little if our character did not know how to properly fight. Because of that, we now have to choose someone for battle IQ. The 2 prime candidates here are Gojo and Sukuna. However, we already used Gojo twice so far, which leaves us with Sukuna. Truth be told, even if we had the choice of Gojo, I would still go for Sukuna for this trait. The way I see it, Gojo is the strongest, but Sukuna is the best sorcerer. In essence, the reason Sukuna was able to win against Gojo was because of his strategic thinking and outstanding battle IQ. Having been alive for thousands of years, he accumulated experience from countless battles and came out victorious enough times to be considered the king of curses. He has fully grasped the nature of curse techniques, curses, and reverse curse technique as a whole. Due to that, he's able to quickly deduce the inner workings of curse techniques after only seeing them once or twice and creating suitable foils to such techniques. He did this against Mahoraga in their fight and was able to defeat the Shikigami after gaining an understanding of its technique within mere moments of interacting with him. But having mentioned Mahoraga, let's give our character the ability to summon a Shikigami. The 2 choices here are Rika and Mahoraga. When it comes to Mahoraga, this Shikigami is the definition of built different. There's a reason why, throughout history, no user of the 10 Shadows technique has been able to tame Mahoraga. No matter what you throw at him, the Shikigami will adapt to it. Depending on the level of the attack, this might take a few seconds or a few minutes, but the fact that Mahoraga will adapt to it still remains steady and guaranteed. When it comes to Rika now? Well, all I will say is that you don't get called the Queen of Curses for no reason. As a special grade vengeful cursed spirit, Rika's power was unmatched in terms of pure destructive potential. A fully manifested cursed Rika was considered a grave threat by the Jujutsu higher-ups, to the point where they doubted if even Satoru Gojo could contain her. By only manifesting her arms, she could easily bring harm to non-sorcerers and Jujutsu sorcerers alike. Once Yuta trusted his connection with her enough to allow her to fully manifest, Rika's power eclipsed that of nearly all other curses. She has immense cursed energy, the ability to fire an incredibly strong cursed energy blast, and the ability of Yuta to copy techniques seem to originate from Rika as well. See why I discarded Yuta in cursed technique? Because we could acquire the same result by just choosing Rika for this round. Not to mention her ability to store cursed tools and weapons in her abdomen. I mean, once again, you'll have to trust me on this, as I will acquire the abilities of Maharaga from another point in the video. So our choice here is Rika. For the 12th point of the video, let's give our character a cursed tool. Some of the best options include the prison realm that was capable of sealing absolutely anything or anyone inside of an inescapable pocket dimension. Inverted Spear of Heaven that allows the user to completely negate curse techniques like the Limitless. Sword of Extermination that is essentially enveloped in positive energy, completely exorcising the curses it comes in contact with. Split Soul Katana that bypasses all resistance and cuts directly at the soul. Or even Kamotoke that allows the user to summon torrents of electricity that strike the target from above. So, which one should we choose? Well, why not take all of them? You see, we already chose Rika as our Shikigami, which, as we explained, has a huge storing space in her belly, specially for cursed tools, like the ones we just described. And quite honestly, it's not like if our character wants to acquire a weapon, there's someone who can get in his way and stop him. So because of that, we can acquire any cursed tool we want within Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, we reach the most important point of the video, the special ability. Not many options to choose from. The first is Maki's or Toji's Heavenly Restriction. However, having given our character the physical strength of Toji, this practically now becomes redundant. So, who are we choosing? Sukuna's special ability to have 2 curse techniques, 2 domain expansions, take over the body of someone, and even use the black box. And because of that, we now unlock another 3 traits for us to use. Here's what we're doing with this. Having chose Sukuna's special ability, we can now choose a second curse technique for our character. We already analyzed the strongest ones a few minutes ago. We'll just cut to the chase instead. The first we consider is Toto, for the reason that Toto was able to swap places with anything by clapping his hands. If this applies even within domains, then this could be a huge deal. I mean, think about it. The opponent lays out their domain, they expend a huge amount of their cursed energy, and all our character needs to do is clap their hands in order to teleport outside the domain, making the opponent practically waste his cursed energy for nothing. Now, I'm not sure if this could actually work, but if it could, then yeah, it would be an absolute game changer. The second curse technique I'm considering is Megami's 10 Shadows. However, you're gonna have to trust me for a bit longer. We're doing something else with him instead, and thus, we'll once again discard Megami for this point as well, which leaves us with Geto's curse technique and Angel's curse technique. If I had to choose, I'd probably go with Angel's ability to nullify any curse technique. Imagine fighting someone having all these incredibly overpowered abilities, not to mention physical attributes like strength and speed. And on top of that, you make your opponent not be able to cast any curse techniques. Absolutely unfair to fight against. Okay, so how about a second domain expansion then? Well, here, I would probably have to go for Higuruma's that, even though it does have certain drawbacks, like the uncertainty of the crime the defendant will be trialed with, or the detail about the penalty being passed to a cursed tool instead, I still think that this ability is incredibly overpowered when pushed into a corner. Not that our character would ever even need it, but you know, just saying. And finally, let's see which body will have our character take over. Here, I will finally reveal why I kept rejecting Maharaga and Megami throughout the video, because with this trait, by having our character take over Megami's body, we gain access to both the 10 Shadows technique as well as Maharaga. Since you enjoyed this video, click on this one as well, where we explain what would have happened if Toji Zenin fought against the strongest curses we saw so far in Jujutsu Kaisen. Go on!
Okay guys, that's it for today, and see you again on another video. Okay, bye bye, see you again. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also comment on which reactions you want next. Okay, bye bye.